you go. Perfect.
Perfect. Done.
Perfect. That's it. We're rolling. We're rolling. There we go. Are you okay?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm knackered. Honestly, this week is so busy.
I am so
And
glad you said that.
today, and I'm like,
Literally, I'm so glad you've said that. Do you know when you go to sleep and then you wake up and you feel like you've been in bed for like 500 years and then you feel like, I don't know, like a zombie, like you're absolutely gone. I felt like that today. I was like, oh my God, I need to get my head in the game. I'm like, when you feel like all over the place. I'm just having one of them days.
I'm getting in the sleep, guys, like you told me, but I feel worse. I wake up and I'm
Exactly.
like, oh.
Exactly. You wake up feeling worse than you did when you got in bed. Don't make no sense. But
No,
yeah,
it
I'm really
doesn't.
glad you said that. Makes me feel better about how my day is going, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm ready to start whenever you are.
Yeah, hit me.
Bang in. I'm just gonna hit you with some questions, Faith. So you're so young. Like it's so weird because like you've done so much in such a short amount of time and you're still so young. How have you done it? Like have you enjoyed it so far? Like has it been like kind of like wild? Has it been busy?
Oh my God. It's really hard to explain because I don't feel like it's been that long either, obviously. But when you're constantly doing stuff, you never really get the time to actually realize,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I did start really young, but I didn't actually start the kind of serious stuff until I was like 16, 17. Um, it has been very crazy. It's been very tiring. But I think I've been quite lucky just because of how my mum's been my manager and stuff like that. So really it's been quite nice and it's been crazy, but everybody just treats it like normally. Like all my friends, they're like, I'm not one to like talk about it, not one to brag about it. I go to school and I do my stuff and I go home and I have my friendship group and they're really supportive. If I'm like, guys, come on, free save the link, come on, like, and they're on it like bonnets. So it's I think I found the happy medium of having a normal life and having my music separate, and that was really important. So, but yeah, it has been crazy and it will get crazier. But no, it's been a hell of a ride and a knackering one that. There's been ups and downs where I've been like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to live a normal teenage life. But then I have to sit back and I think, how many teenagers get this opportunity? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and Heartbreak, it's such like a professional single. It sounds so professional. I mean, they all do. All your singles sound really professional and so like well put together and like, proper like quality. It seems like you found your sound really, really quickly, you know what I mean? And you fit into such a great style. What are some of the inspirations that have gone into Heartbreak?
Oh, that's kind of hard because I kind of just send producers what I've genuinely listened to. So like Becky Hill, like Sigala, all those kind of stuff. Just happy music. I think a big one for this one was Dua Lipa. It has a very like all night, all right with you. So it's kind of a really like electro pop on it. I love it. I loved it. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, this is a bit of me. I do the songs I have brought out, they are kind of like the same sort of line of genre. So I think that's where I'm going. But that's just because I love performing them. Why would you make a song that you don't want to perform? It's just stupid. So when I hear these tracks, I'm like, oh yes. And there must be a reason why every time a producer asks me, what I want the track to sound like, I send them over what I do. I think it's just what I like to hear. It's what I like to listen to myself. I'm not very oh, I am a sad person like everybody is. Come on now. But when I am in that sort of state, I don't listen to sad stuff. I listen to upbeat stuff all the time. So yeah, I guess kind of along the lines of like the Becky Hill, Sigala, K-pop is a big one for me. As you can see, the Blackpink poster right behind me. But yeah, they're sort of the inspirations behind it. But yeah, I like fun music. I like to make it. I like to listen to it. I like to perform it. So yeah.
And I mean, we love to listen to it. It's got, like you say, like I say, you've got such a great sound to your music. It's such a great start, and it's like you say, you want to be performing songs that you want to perform. You know what I mean? If you're performing something you're not enjoying, the crowd aren't going to enjoy it either. You know what I mean? I mean, this is kind of changing the subject a little bit, but one of the questions I've been thinking about lately, you know, when I think about asking these questions to all these artists, is what do you think about like physical music? And like, you know, like vinyl and like cassette and CDs and stuff like that. Is that something that you want to be doing in the future, or, you know, sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I mean, I personally have never gotten into the vinyl kind of stuff. However, I do think it's very cool. My boyfriend and all of his friends, they have loads of that, and I'm like, that's really cool. And they're like, oh my God, look, it's coming out, and I can't wait. Oh my God, I'm like, geez, okay. But no, I think it's becoming a lot more popular for one. And a lot of people do like it. I'll never really understand why, but you do you. Um, so yeah, I definitely think it's definitely something you should do when you're more established. I think it costs a hell of a lot to make them, so to make anything back is it's hard. I mean, even like the likes of CDs, like, you just never know how they're going to do, how they're going to sell. So I definitely think in the future, I definitely think it would be cool to have my face on a vinyl. Come on now, anybody would want that. But yeah, definitely something in the future
That's really
when
good
I'm
to hear.
yeah.
Really, really good to hear. And do you like enjoy this side? Do you enjoy this side of like the industry? I mean, you've got the writing and that, and the producing and the singing and all that kind of thing. Do you enjoy this bit, like the interviewing, like people wanting to get to know you a bit more better?
Yeah, it's really cool. I never really get why. If I'm honest, I'm kind of like, oh, um, no, it's really cool. I love the interviews. I love meeting people. I love going to gigs. I love talking to people about it. Um, I just really wish there's a different way of promoting and not just having to be a plastic Barbie for people to actually be interested. Like, it's really hard to find middle ground of, because I'm still so young as well. Instagram's a really big thing for me where I'm like, I don't want to show everyone every day what I'm doing. And like most of the time I'm doing nothing. Like, I'm just being a normal person who I just want to lay in my bed and watch RuPaul's Drag Race with nothing on. Like, do you know what I mean? Um but no, I wish there was just a different way to do that and it be accepted. Like, if you were to look at a post of me in a dress with a little bit of my bum in it, people go crazy. And that's I'm I'm just turned 18. That's kind of wrong in a way. But yeah. But if I was to post something about my music, like, hey guys, I'm releasing this, nobody actually gives two tosses. And it's really sad. So yes, I do enjoy doing it. I do enjoy sharing with people what I'm doing and they like what I'm doing. But also I'm like, wow.
I mean,
It's a really, really
it,
cool one. You'll probably find most
yeah,
people are like,
it's a really hard like balance to strike, I think. And I think if your music's really good, then everyone's going to be interested in you as a person and try and figure out how the music kind of like came to be. I mean, that's why I do it. I mean, I've got to say, I find it really interesting that you are so young and you have done so much. Like, you know, because there's not much age difference between me and you. I'm 20. And when I was your age, I was thinking about my Xbox, you know what I mean? I was thinking about my PlayStation still, you know what I mean? So for me to like sit here and like hear all these things and see your progress, it's insanely interesting for me because I'm like, how's she done it? You know what I mean? Like
I
it's
know, I
it's
know.
wild. But like also it is mainly the music as well because I hear the music and I'm like, this is brilliant. And I don't know, I just instinctively kind of want to know like the kind of like process and the stuff that's gone into it because a lot of the time, when I speak with artists, they're kind of what they wanted people to get out the song. People don't really think about and they don't really have chance to, you know, kind of like understand like deeper meanings and that kind of thing. So it's nice to sit with an artist and be able to kind of like I don't know, like kind of like drag it out of them, you know what I mean? And try and, you know, like get to know them and get to know the music. So yeah, but it is weird. It is very weird. It is very crazy. I mean, is it weird for you to think that people are listening to your music and kind of like forming an opinion about it?
Yes, that is always one thing. I'm like, oh my God. Like, when I look at the statistics on like Spotify and stuff, and it tells me like 100 and something people have listened to it in this place, and like 1,000 people have listened to it in this place. That's crazy. And like one of my friends pointed out to me the other day, he was like, like somewhere in the world, someone is going, oh, listen to this new like understated artists, and I'm like, oh my god, that could literally be happening to me. So it is actually really bloody crazy to think that people are listening and they do actually like it. Like when I see those streams building up, and when it gets put onto like a big playlist that are like up against songs from like Drake and stuff like that, I'm like, people are actually liking this and actually listening to this, and it's crazy. And like, when the most craziest thing is when I did a launch party for the song, and obviously it was all my friends and my family and stuff, which is, they obviously are going to know the song, like, let's be real. But when I started to sing it and they knew it and they were singing it to me, I was like, oh, like, that is what you do it all for. And that kind of stuff is what makes the hardships, you just forget about them, and then you realize why you're doing it. Like, I've had so many times where I'm like, I literally can't do this anymore. Like, why am I doing this? Like, there's been times when I'm gonna be honest, I have not enjoyed it. But I think everyone has, and probably has, gone through that, no matter what artist they are. And that's just because how hard it is and how tedious it is, and how you think that you've gotten nowhere. And that's why when people say you've done so much, I'm like, really, have I? Because I think I've done literally nothing, because my name isn't in the charts. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way the end goal is. So because I haven't gotten there, I'm like, have I really done something? But then I have to go, yes, I have. Yes, I have. It's a hard thing, but no, it's crazy. The people that listen to you, the people that support you, you just think, where have you come from and why?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And it's weird. I'm in a similar position, you know what I mean? It's weird on both sides of the industry, because it's like I look back at what I've done and I feel like I've not done anything until I see it like written down and in set in stone. I still feel like I'm kind of like stagnant, and it's not a nice feeling, because that's when you get in, in a circle, and you kind of, you know, get in like a ball of like stress, and you're like, oh, what's the point? Like you say, you think to yourself, what's the point? How do you get through that though? What keeps you motivated through that?
Lots of things. My family is a big one, because I'm so intertwined with my family with music. Like, my mum is my manager. She's like, well, we've gotten this far, why can't we get any further? And it's just kind of like a self-belief thing. You hit peaks and you hit walls, but then something is on the other side. So I'll be really upset about something. I don't think I'll ever have the courage to actually say, I don't want to do this anymore, and actually not stop doing it. Like, that's not what happens. But something is always on the other side. Like, I'll hit a peak one day and I'll be like, no more. And then the next day I'll get a call from someone to say, can you do this gig at this really big venue? And then you're like, oh my God, maybe I actually am getting somewhere. So I think I've been really lucky, actually, that, there's always been that thing to keep me going. I also do subjects at my school. I do shows at my school that just keep the love going. Like, we're doing a Vita at the moment, and I'm playing Ava Perón, and that's a really big thing for me, because it's just keeping the flame ignited. Because I go to rehearsals and I'm like, oh, this is where I want to be, and it's just that love again. And as soon as you put me on a stage, I could be moody as hell before I go on, because I'm like, I really don't want to be here, guys. Put me on that stage, and then you look at the before and after, and I'm a completely different person, because it changes who I am inside. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just those little things. It's those little things that just keep me coming back.
Yeah. And is it hard balancing those two kind of like pieces of your life, like a personal life and then work life? Is it difficult to have everything in the balance? Because I remember when I mean, are you in college now? Is it college?
Yeah, I'm in the last few months of college, so yeah.
See, I remember college being an absolute nightmare. Like, I was completely bogged down completely with like work, and do you have any advice for like people in a similar position, like similar to your age, like who want to like follow this ambition and want to be like working towards a career at the same
Mm.
time as juggling all this like personal stuff?
I mean, it's definitely been one of the hardest things to balance personal life and work life, just because this type of work can get so much, and you have to put so much effort in to get so little back. And that's really, really hard sometimes. I think I've been really lucky with just how it's been dealt with. I don't, I'm lucky enough to have that many gigs in a year that I don't have to work. And that's sometimes, for a lot of people, not how it goes. So that kind of coasts me through, days out with my friends and doing what I want and having the money to do it. But other things are like just having the time and the energy to do stuff. Like, I think it's so important to, for one, surround yourself with people who actually are supportive of it and who actually understand what I'm going through. Like, my family understand that I'm going to be tired some days. My boyfriend understands that I'm going to be tired some days. My friends understand that I'm going to be tired some days and that I can't do stuff. I've missed a lot of days out that they've planned to be in the studio, and they're like, okay, that's fine. Have a great time. Well, maybe next time. And you just have to kind of accept it. It's a really hard thing, but this leads me to my next point, is that you have to want it, and you have to want it bad. Because I wouldn't have gone to the studio if I didn't want to do it. I would have been like, no, actually, I don't feel it today. And I would have gone out. Do you know what I mean? If I didn't have the drive and I didn't have the passion to do and make the songs and make, you know, Faith Louise, then I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have done what I've done. So it's just about surrounding yourself with the right people, I think, and having the drive to do it. They're probably some of the most important things, especially for people our age. You know, I'm also especially lucky that I picked subjects at my school that evolve around the career I'm in. And that's because I knew what I wanted to do when I was like 6. Do you know what I mean? Some people don't do that. I know a lot of people around here that are just starting their music careers now. And they have the passion to do it. You know, they have the drive, so they're doing well. But it's just finding the right balance. I think you have to give yourself credit. You have to give yourself rest, and you just have to sometimes bite your tongue and just get on with it, really. But yeah, I've been extremely lucky, I think. So I think that's why I've been able to do what I've been able to do and not go into absolute panic mode. But yeah, I would 100% give that type of advice.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. You know, it's short-term pain, long-term gain. You know what I mean? You know, our times will come, you know what I mean, when we can, you know, sit on the island and throw coconuts at the tourists, you know what I mean, and have a grand old time. But, you know, for now it's all about work and that, you know what I mean? You got to be working, you know, and until you get what you want. And it's like you say, you've got to really, really want it. What do you think's the biggest lesson that you've learned so far?
Oh, definitely. Oh,
I mean,
ooh.
that is kind of a tough question because it's like I say, you know, you've kind of been doing it for quite a while now. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's been lots of lessons. It's
Oh,
quite a tough question. I'm a bit mean.
I think probably self-respect. I'm not gonna lie. Like, looking over how many years I've actually been doing it and how young I was, it's taught me so much about um me as a person, really, and sort of the woman that I am becoming and how strong of a woman I am. Like, uh all the auditions, all of the gigs that nobody really cares about, you know, they've all built me up to just not give a shit in the nicest way possible. Like, I feel so much stronger inside and outside just as a woman. And that was a really big thing for me. So just self-respect. Like, I've been going to a lot of auditions for universities to study musical theatre. It's a very, very hard course to get into. They are the best schools in London, so there's a very slim chance. But about a few weeks ago, I just said, you know what? Why am I doing this to myself? They're looking for a certain thing. They're looking for a certain way you look, the way you sound. And I just don't want it. I don't want that. Why would I put myself through that? You know? So I think that's why I say self-respect, because really in the past few months of this music career, I know what I'm worth. I know what my talent's worth. I know what my work ethic is worth. You know, I know that I can charge this amount of money for this gig because I can supply the goods. I know that I can get into this school because I can supply the goods. And that's not, I don't want to say it's arrogance. I just know my worth, and I know that, you know, I can put in the amount of effort and it's worth this outcome and it's worth this amount, you know. So 100% is self-respect. You know, it's built me up to be such a strong person, not just for music as a business head, but also just as a person, you know. And it's crazy to think that something like that could shape how you grow up. It definitely made me more wise and probably more mature than I probably should have been at the ages that I was. But I didn't really see anything that was wrong with that, because all it did was me at 18 seem like a 32-year-old who's had years and years of life, but I haven't. So 100% just self-respect, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I think it's amazing.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. I am honestly so happy to hear you say that, because, you know, it is a really tough industry. It's massively tough. You know what I mean? And we're living in a time where there still isn't enough representation, and it can be a very damaging industry. You know what I mean? It still has its problems. So it's great to hear people like you know, kind of like champion that, and kind of like talk about you know, women in music, and you know how hard it is. You know what I mean? Because it is hard. It is really, really tough. So it's really, really good to hear you say that, and it is sound advice. It's perfect advice, and it should, like I say, it's just so good to hear you say it. um where do you see yourself content? Where will we, what's the goal? Do you know what I mean? Where will we be where you'll be like, you'll feel like
So,
it has been worth it? You know what I mean? Where are we at with that?
I don't think there's a peak moment in my head where I'm like, this is where I want to be, XYZ, because unfortunately, this is not how this industry goes. Um, Obviously, you compare yourself to bigger artists who are touring the world, who have millions of pounds in their bank, who are living their best life. And obviously, I would love to get to a point where I am known enough in the world that I can have the nice luxuries. I can give my family the life that they actually deserve. I can tour the world, I can see the world, and I can meet all the people. But for me, it's just taking it step by step. And my next step is to go to a gig tonight. You know, it's baby steps really. And I think people can get really in their head and get too far ahead of themselves. But it's lovely to have goals. But at the moment, I actually don't know where I want to be, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've never really looked at the big picture and gone, this is where I want to be in X amount of years. And I think that's just because anything can happen, especially in this career. Like 1 minute I can have it all, and then the next minute they go, no, thank you, bye bye. You know, so I think it's just safe dreaming. Do you know what I mean? I like to protect myself a lot, but that has been probably one of the best things I have ever done, especially within this career. That I just take each day as it comes, and I take each opportunity as it comes, and then just see where we go from there.
And once
You know,
again, it's all about the self-respect thing again. Do you know what I mean? And believing in yourself and knowing your own worth. Do you know what I mean? It powers you through, and it keeps you going, and it gets you through these setbacks. And it's about using the advice, you know, that you just told me, that to keep you going, and, you know, get you through another day, you know, because you never know what's going to come. You never know what's going to come up. I always ask artists about the future and what they think that they're going to be doing. And I feel very mean asking it. I am very mean asking it. I'm a bit evil, you know, I'm a bit cruel asking it, but, you know, because we haven't got a crystal ball, we don't know what's going to happen. Anything could happen. But I think part of that is the magic of this industry. You never know what's going to happen. 1 minute you're presented with a fabulous opportunity, the next minute it goes dry. You know, you've just got to keep working and keep going. But you mentioned gigging and performing. What's been your favorite performance so far?
oh,
That's another
oh,
tough question. That's another tough one.
I Oh, they're so hard. I love doing, Joe. I love doing all of the prides, all of the festival type things, because they bring in people who want to be there and they want to dance and they want to get up and just be lunatics. And I love it. And I can't tell you how much I thrive off of it during a performance. There is nothing worse than going to a gig where you've just been hired by like a pub manager and nobody really actually gives two tosses, you know, and you're just stood there singing your heart out, and there's only two people that actually are paying attention. There's nothing wrong with that. They're there to their business, to have a pint or whatever. But there is nothing more exhilarating than being in front of a crowd. It doesn't even have to be that big, that just want to hear music and that are actually enjoying what you are doing. I love it and I thrive off of it. Um, I haven't gigged that much this year, actually, just because of the load of the load of actual work that I've had to do. But I'd say there was a gig in London that really, it was my first gig ever in London, and it was only last year. But it was sensational. It was only a little like bar in Camden. But once the people started to come in, and once that first set had passed, they were all getting up, they all had their shirts off, they were all singing along, and I have never, ever felt more alive, ever. Like, I thought it was going to be a really, really bad gig. Like, you just have those feelings, don't you, where you're like, this is going to be pants, because nobody's going to be there. Boy, was I wrong. Like, it was just insane. So that is definitely one. I think that was a turning point for me, because obviously where I live, there is people, but there's not a lot of people that actually, go out and listen to live music. So when you step out and you go into bigger places like London, and you have Friday nights, Saturday nights, but all these people are coming out and they want to get pissed and they want to have a good time, it's just like, oh my God. So it was a real turning point for me, where I kind of knew that this was what I wanted to do, and that people were actually enjoying what I was doing. So I definitely say that London gig. So thank you to that little
But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You know, you never know what you're gonna get. It's one of them things. Again, you never know what you're gonna get. It's like with an interview. I never know what the person's gonna be like. I never know what they're gonna say. You know, we don't know how it's gonna go. Who knows? You know what I mean? So it's got to be the same with a gig. You never know what kind of crowd you're gonna have. You never know how much they're gonna enjoy it, how much they're engaged. You never know. And again, it's one of them things that you've just got to go through, and you just got to keep going. And sometimes the ones that you expect to be really good, don't turn out how you expect. But then others that you think are going to be really, really bad go amazing. You never know how it's going to be. But now this is another tough question. I'm hitting you with another tough question because I'm evil Ross today. What has been your proudest moment so far, would you say? And that is a really, really tough one. Really tough.
Yeah. I mean, it is even harder because, like you said, when you are that person, and when you feel like you've accomplished nothing, and everybody's like, oh my God, you've done so much, but because in your head it's not big enough to be conceived as an achievement, it's just, it's so hard. I just say being able to release my music and be confident that they sound good and that they will be perceived well. That's definitely a big achievement for me, and actually starting to release the music that I want to release, and not giving a damn about what people say about it. Like, when I was 15, 16, obviously my songs were going to be cheesy. Like, what have I got to write about? What have I experienced? Absolutely nothing. That was really, really hard for me, because I'd get teased, like, not in like a horrible way, but people still make jokes about lyrics that I've written in my songs, like, who's the bars? Like, it's an ongoing joke in my friendship group. But as soon as I hit a peak where my music was doing well and people started to see the numbers, and then they started to pipe down a little bit, and then I started to release music that I actually thought was quite lyrically good and that actually had meaning, that was a really, really big thing for me, because then I just stopped caring and I was like, ooh, stuff, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are actually enjoying it, so you need to shush. That was a really big thing for me. I think just being known, before, people didn't take me very seriously because I had 2,000 followers. I had 500 streams, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not at all. As long as you're putting out good content and people are enjoying it, and more importantly, you are enjoying it. But when I started to get bigger numbers and people actually started to take me seriously, as an artist, and they were like, oh, hello, where have you come from? That was a really big turning point for me as well. So yeah, I just think being known and developing my music are two really big achievements for me that just made me want to do it more, and that it's always been things that I've wanted to make me do it more. It's never been about, oh yes, I've got this amount of money now, I'm gonna I've got this amount of you know, it's never been about that. It's always been things like, oh my god, this is really good, like I'm gonna do this more. And you know, and as time's gone on, there's obviously things that I can't tell you, I'm really sorry, but there's been bigger things that have come about, and it's just like, it's crazy. But kind of just it's a really weird thing. This career is kind of just everything. Everything is such an achievement because of how hard it is to do stuff and for it to be successful. So, you know, even the smallest things like booking a gig, that's such a big achievement. You know, that's how I get paid, that's how I live my life, you know. So yeah, it just kind of just everything is an achievement. I know that's like a really like vast like answer, but no, just everything that I've done, everything that I have achieved is a big achievement in my eyes, and it is something that I'm like, wow, I'm really proud of myself for doing that, you know. And I think people forget that. People just credit the big things that they've done, like, oh, I got this deal with this person. Like, no, like, what were the steps you got to get there? They're all achievements. So I kind of just guess everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should be really proud, immensely proud of everything, just everything. And I totally agree. I'm in total agreement here. You should be really proud of everything that you've accomplished so far, because, like I say, and we keep forgetting, you are so young, you know what I mean? And there's so much ahead. Talking of like the future and like things that are ahead, this is my last question now. I'm gonna stop hassling you now, Faith Louise, with my mean questions. I'm gonna stop hassling you. So are there any dates that you want to mention, like future EPs, albums, singles, anything that we can expect, like tour dates, gigging, anything like that?
Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of stuff that has been finalized. There's just no dates for. And there's a lot of stuff that is really, really exciting and that is like huge. That I'm just waiting for. I have a few singles coming out very, very, very soon. Here we're talking weeks and a few months. And I can honestly say that the music that I'm starting to put out from Promise onwards, I am so proud of how they sound and what I've been writing about. So I am so excited for people to hear it, because I am in love, and that was a big thing for me. I never actually like truly liked what I put out, and then I went away from that producer. I got away from that recording studio, and I just took a leap of faith, no pun intended. So yeah, we got music on the way. I have so many festivals, so many festivals, and so many big festivals that are in the pipeline and that are being confirmed. So that is huge for me. So yeah, I guess there's not really any tea to spill on those because I don't have the dates yet. We're just waiting for confirmation and stuff. But there is definitely stuff to be excited about for myself and for everybody who's interested. So I'd just say, keep your eyes peeled, people. Keep them peeled.
I mean, that's brilliant news. Brilliant news. Really, really good news that there's so much in the pipeline for everyone to get excited for. And that's the thing with fans, you know, they always want as much as they can get, you know what I mean? It's never going to be enough. So it's really good to hear that you've got so much on and so much going on. I just want to hit you with a big, massive thank you. I think you're brilliant. The answers that you've given me today have just, you know, they're fabulous. And, you know, all the young girls out there who are aspiring to be doing what you're doing, you know, they're going to be glad to hear it. And that is why you are so inspirational. And you should be really proud, really, really proud of what you've accomplished so far. I know it's easy to get in your head and kind of put yourself down and be like, oh, you know, I ain't really done nothing. And, you know, it's easy for people to come in and be like, oh, those lyrics, you know, are silly. But you got to ignore and you got to keep going, you know, because people are jealous. That's the first thing. And two, you should know your own worth, as you said. And you are worth a lot. You are brilliant. Honestly, you are. You're absolutely fab. And I've just loved having you on here. It's just been brilliant. Our Stoke listeners are going to love you. They loved Heartbreak. It had such a good reaction, you know, walking around the studio and people were coming to me going, you know, Heartbreak is brill. And I get that with a lot of the record of the weeks that we have. That's why I pick them, you know what I mean? And I could just see so much potential in it when I picked it, and I was like, this has got to go, it's got to go out because people are going to love it, you know what I mean? So just a big massive thank you, Faith Louise, for coming along and letting us learn a bit more about you. It's just been fab.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But yeah, just, you know, you've really put a smile on my face today. You know, it's really good stuff to hear. And yeah, just once again, just from me now personally, just a big massive thank you. It's been fab talking to you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Also,
I love it. So bubbly. I love it.
thank you. I don't know where I've got the energy from. I've gone from being like, you've woke me up, Faith. I've legit been like, you know, dying all morning, absolutely on the edge. And then here I am. I'm alive. You've brought me back to life.
Do you know, I so like, oh, is this gonna be, is this gonna be a drag? No, I am alive and awake. I'm ready to tackle my day. I am thriving. Thank you so much.